15.6, the peripheral nervous system. A reflex is a predictable, pre-wired, programmed response to a very specific stimulus. There are 5 components of a reflex arc. This would be a sensory receptor that's going to actually detect the stimulus. That's going to be sent to the central nervous system over a sensory neuron. That sensory neuron will synapse with the integration center. The integration center is going to be some interneurons, either in the spinal cord or in the brain. And then the interneurons of the integration center will synapse with a motor neuron. The motor neuron will carry that motor command from the central nervous system out to a muscle or to a gland, and it will synapse on the effector, which is actually the muscle or the gland. So here's a diagram. We see up at the very top a pin prick, and so there are pain receptors in the skin that would detect that stimulus. That's going to initiate an action potential that moves on the axon of a sensory neuron. Here we see that dorsal root ganglia mentioned in an earlier segment. That's where the cell body of the sensory neuron is housed. And then the dorsal root of the spinal cord is where that sensory axon enters the cord. There is a synapse there with the interneuron, which in this diagram is purple. The interneuron then will synapse with the motor neuron, which is in red. The axon of that motor neuron is going to exit the ventral root into one of the spinal nerves. That spinal nerve then goes to a specific area of the body, and it's going to carry with that axon, which will stimulate an effector or a muscle. So the reflex is you touch something sharp or you touch something hot, you will immediately withdraw your hand. So we don't have to think about it. It's a pre-wired, pre-programmed response. So it does not require any integration in the brain. The integration occurs in the spinal cord. Now we're going to synapse on a sensory receptor that goes up the cord. And so we're going to let the brain know what happened. We touch something hot, I've already moved my hand. While we're here, I do need to mention there is a difference between a nerve and a neuron. A neuron is an individual cell. A nerve is a bundle of axons. The peripheral nervous system can be divided into the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is conscious sensation, so mainly sensory input coming from sensory receptors in the skin, and then also conscious control over the skeletal muscle. So generally, we are aware of the somatic system function. The autonomic nervous system, when you hear autonomic, again think automatic. This is subconscious control of body systems. So this is sensory input from organs that we're not aware of. Our brain is constantly receiving input from sensory organs about what's going on. We're just not conscious of that. And then it will also send motor commands back out. So autonomic motor command, rather than stimulating skeletal muscle, is going to stimulate either smooth muscle in the walls of organs, or cardiac muscle in the heart, or glands. We can further divide the autonomic system into 2 divisions. The divisions of the autonomic nervous system are the Sympathetic Division and the Parasympathetic Division. The Sympathetic Division mediates what we call our fight or flight response. So when we are experiencing times of stress or fear, the Sympathetic Division has primary control. The parasympathetic division we call the rest and digest system. So when we are calm at times of rest, control is predominantly through the parasympathetic division. Most tissues, most systems are dual innervated. So they will have both sympathetic fibers and parasympathetic fibers. And so this functions like the gas pedal and the brake in your car. So sometimes we want to speed up specific systems, other times we want to slow them down, and it depends on what's going on in our environment. So for example, sympathetic stimulation, if we are frightened, if we are stressed, the sympathetic system is going to speed up the heart, it's going to speed up respiration. If we are very calm at times of rest, the parasympathetic system is going to predominantly be in control of our body systems, and so heart rate is slow, respiration is slow. Okay. But also, if we are in stressful times, we speed up the heart, we speed up respiration. This is an effort to get nutrients and oxygen to muscles so we can respond. The digestive system is inhibited. And so this is a way that we can route blood and resources away from some body systems to others. During parasympathetic stimulation, the digestive system speeds up. Again, this is a way that we can apply the gas pedal or the brake to specific systems depending on our circumstances. This is a scary looking diagram, but it's really interesting if you do spend just a few minutes and study this. This is showing us the sympathetic and parasympathetic dual innervation. And so again, depending on our circumstances, some systems are going to speed up or slow down. I mentioned a moment ago that the sympathetic nervous system, which is active when we are frightened or when we are nervous, slows down the digestive tract. You ever get a dry mouth when you get nervous? And that's because production of saliva is inhibited. That's part of that sympathetic response. Another thing that might happen during a sympathetic response when you are nervous, you perspire. Okay? Because if you are frightened, perspiration is increased to cool the body in case you need to respond with some physical activities to some stressful or dangerous situation. So you might take just a few minutes and look at this diagram and think about which of these systems might speed up or slow down during either stressful or restful occasions.